of technology development. Just want to make a few remarks on how we understand the translation of science into technology and commercialization. First of all, I should say that this is it's a journey. It's a journey. It's a path that we all make attempts to traverse, and it's a very, very long path. It's a very long journey. To take anything from the lab to commercialization is an extremely long journey, and one reason for that is there are multiple players in it. When we do science in the lab, it's just us, it's our students, maybe a funding agency, and that's about it. But when you start taking it closer and closer to market, there are so many people who get involved. You have industry partners, and within industry partners, there are the scientists, there are the research team, there are the engineers who want to set up plants, design plants, there are marketing people, their business development people, all of those come in. And then you have regulators, right? Especially if you are developing a drug formulation or something, you have a huge number of regulators who come in. And then of course the market comes in, right? And so there are so many players who come in, and all of them dictate the pace at which things happen. So it takes a long time to go through that path and all the way to commercialization. So very long journey. And honestly, there are no end points of that journey. There are only milestones along that path. You can never say that my product started in the lab and end of it is it's in the market and selling. Because the moment it goes in the market and selling, you have a competitor. And you have somebody who's doing something better. And you have somebody who's developed a better technology. And so it never ends. You want to stay ahead of the competition means you have to do the next better product or the next better technology, and so it continues on and on and on. So this notion of I've taken the product to the market and it's now commercial means I've done all of it, that's not true. It's just one of the many milestones along that journey. So overall, this long and arduous journey requires tremendous patience and perseverance, and sometimes it can be painful as well. Any one of you who has tried to walk that path knows what I'm talking about, right? You never know who will derail you along the way. You never know who will put some barriers along the way. Somewhere a policy changes and suddenly it creates a barrier which you have never anticipated. Suddenly the government changes and new policies come in and you never would have anticipated it. And so there are so many uncertainties along that path. So one has to be really patient and persevere, and if you really believe what you're doing, that's the most important thing that is required to walk that path. And so this kind of journey is not really for the faint-hearted. You have to be really strong-willed. You can't easily. There's so many points of time when you would want to give up, right? And that doesn't achieve anything. Right? After spending so many years, it's not so easy to give up, and therefore it requires huge amount of patience and a very strong will to walk that journey and come to the next milestone. But having said all of this, it's truly an enjoyable journey. There are joys at every point of time. Every milestone is something you would like to celebrate. And I keep telling my team that every small little success that we get must be celebrated. Because you never know when the next one is going to come and how painful that next journey is going to be. So you might as well keep celebrating every little success that you... It's also the fact that you are working as a team, you're working with great friends, great collaborators, and so it becomes a very enriching and a very enjoyable journey. But most importantly, it is a very satisfying journey, right? Every time a drug enters the market, which you have helped develop, the satisfaction is tremendous. If you see a diagnostic tool that you may have developed is picked up by the market, it is extremely satisfying because you are impacting lives directly, right? If you see a new clean energy technology that comes to the market and displaces an incumbent technology, you feel so proud about having catalyzed that journey. So it becomes an extremely satisfying and rewarding journey. So I want to encourage all my colleagues here and especially students here to join in this journey and to celebrate the whole process of innovation of taking the science from your lab to the market. And in order to understand that, it's important to learn and get inspired by people who have walked that journey. And therefore, on this Technology Day today, I thought that I would like to invite somebody who has been a serial entrepreneur, who has done these things not once but multiple times, and hear the story from him and get inspired by his journey. And I hope that by listening to these, we'll be able to ignite our young minds to make them innovate even more. And by the way, the theme for this year's National Technology Day is igniting young minds to innovate. So I thought, what's the better opportunity than to call Dr. Subramani, we call him Subbu, to come and tell us about his journey and tell us all the pain points and the high points of what he has experienced through his journey. So I'm going to stop here and request Sarika to take over. Thank you.
So thanks, Ashish, for giving us a glimpse of joy and agony of being an entrepreneur. He himself knows what it is, and we will get to hear more about it from our chief guest. I'll now request Ashish to welcome our chief guest with a bouquet of flowers.
This was not necessary. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Shall I just keep it here?
Might come in the way.
I'll now request Dr. Anuraghanathan to introduce the speaker.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to introduce Mr. Subramani Ramachandrappa. He's the founder and managing director of Firmbox Bio, a synthetic biology company in Bangalore. Although he's here after 20 years of experience of setting up multiple companies, we found out this today that his business sense activities and his engineering activities sense came from childhood, where he was a part of a company that his father established, and he was a part of a silk industry. So that association has sort of made him the person he is today. So he's going to give us a talk on science and entrepreneurship on the occasion of Technology Day. As Ashish mentioned, Technology Day is celebrated annually on May 11th, but we are celebrating it today, 10 days later. Subramani Ramachandrappa, known popularly as Subbu, brings over 20 years of expertise in the biotech sector to his role as a founder and managing director in the company I just mentioned, Firmbox Bio. His previous venture, which is pretty well known, Laurus Bio, originally was known as Richco Life Sciences and marked significant advancements in the production of animal origin-free recombinant proteins and enzymes. And he also extended his expertise to CDMO services for the biopharma and novel food industries. Outside his business activities, Mr. Ramachandrappa contributes to government policy development for the biotech sector, product innovation, development in biotechnology, fundraising, cross-border collaborations, and partnerships and large-scale manufacturing. With that, I'd like to invite Subramani Ramachandrappa to give us this very exciting lecture.
Thank you. It'll work, right? Firstly, thank you everybody for having me over here, especially Dr. Ashish. We met briefly at a committee meeting in Delhi, and then as soon as we finished, he came next to me and he said, "Why don't you come and speak at CSIR-NCL. I was a little taken aback, a lot of pressure, so I wore a jacket. Usually I don't. And we entrepreneurs don't really get to come and speak at science foundation, science schools like you all, because we are not PhDs, we are not doctors. But I'm very happy to be here. I came here sometime in 2006-7. The campus still looked as beautiful as it is today, so appreciate the work in keeping it the way it is. So today I'm going to make this as fun and easy to understand, not like one of the publications that we all do in the science journals. Please stop me and ask me any questions. It is going to be quite funny because I don't have any science slides except one which you all will recognize as soon as I open my next slide. So we're going to talk about a little bit of my journey, and I'm going to overlap that with the challenge of developing science itself. To me personally, I don't think there's any difference between entrepreneurship and research. So those of you who are doing research, I assume that's most of you, you all are already entrepreneurs. I think what you need to do is just realize yourself that you are an entrepreneur, because the risk you guys take is not very different from the risk entrepreneurs take. The frustration is the same. The enjoyment, as Dr. Ashish mentioned, is the same. When even that one experiment goes right, you go like, yes, right? So the highs and lows of an entrepreneur is very much like you guys running an experiment. It goes well, we are happy. It's not going well, we're sad. So as long as you can look at it like a game, I think you'll pretty much be able to handle entrepreneurship. Okay, so we're going to talk about science, research, and entrepreneurship almost in parallel, with a little backdrop of my life and learnings, more like, love story during World War II. So with this slide, I guess most of you know what that is. Do you all know what these are? Wild guess. We have to make it interactive, else it's boring. Anyone can guess what these are? There's a clue, ideas are plenty. Huh? Well, if I went to a school and showed this, they would say it's frog eggs. Come on, guys. Now so basically, ideas are plenty. Right? Look at the number of research papers your school has published. Right? Look at the number of ideas entrepreneurs are developing. So, is there any difference between a researcher and an entrepreneur? All of us have lots of ideas, right? We have so many ideas that you don't know which one to pursue. And many of us have been in that crossroads. We've been in the crossroads while even deciding which course to take. Doctor, pure science, engineer, and then some uncle or someone will say, okay, tu doctor banja. Then we write the exam and then we fail to clear and then we become a scientist many times. Right? Whether or maybe your neighbor's brother did very well in, B.Tech, and then your father says you do B.Tech. I realized when we were interviewing people in my company and we asked them, why are you doing biotech? The answers were amazing. Most of them were decisions they didn't make. It was usually my father said, my school teacher said, my friend's brother is very famous, Kiran Mazumdar is so great. There are so many reasons. But by the time you reach NCL, you kind of figured out either you're terribly in the wrong place or you're really starting to enjoy what you took up, right? And then comes these ideas. Now these are ideas after you, by mistake or not by mistake, become a scientist or an entrepreneur. Scientists are better, you're doing the course. Entrepreneurs are worse. They can be in a damn job and then they think of building these businesses. Few hatch, right? We have lots of ideas, but a few will hatch. And it does not mean that the first one that hatches is going to be your business or it's going to be the big thing that you're going to do in science. Am I right or wrong? How many of you chose an idea and that worked out just great? Anybody? Like you picked one topic for a project and it worked out like awesome, right? We talk about Elon Musk a lot. He spent $4 billion becoming who he is. I don't think anybody in India can do that, right? So sometimes it takes a lot of time, money and patience to figure out what is good for you. You ask any successful entrepreneur and they will some of them towards the end of their career will say, I had a vision. Like if you read history, you'll realize that they'll say Napoleon had a vision. But actually he didn't. He was a map maker, then he became a soldier, then he saw an opportunity, then he got into some skirmishes, then they made him a leader, and one day he was leading an army and then he became an emperor. Many times, visions are realized over time, and we are merely solving for challenges in front of us, and when you connect the dots, you feel you are meant to do that. Like if you watch Kung Fu Panda, it says that you probably lose your way to find your destiny. Right? If you were not lost, you won't find your destiny. So don't bother. If your first ideas fail, first job failed, third job failed, don't bother. If you're either in research or in entrepreneurship, all that you have to do is keep your nose out of the water. You know what that means? What it means is as long as your nose is out of water, you will be alive, and you will be alive to fight another day or do another project. So now, a few have hatched, and then very soon you're wondering who you are. I'm a molecular biologist, but I'm a misfit. Like we had a meeting before this. At least 3 or 4 scientists, probably your professors, said they're misfits. Can you believe that? I won't name them, but why did they say that? Because sometimes it takes a while for us to figure out who we are. Right? Who am I? Yes. And this identity crisis hits you so hard as a researcher or as an entrepreneur. Trust me, like as an entrepreneur, you think this idea, I'm going to do this, I'm going to talk to them, they're going to buy, and you have all these clouds with palaces built on it, and then it won't happen. Then you're going to ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Now, whether you're a researcher or an entrepreneur, there are a few things that you have to get right to be successful. Mentors. You understand mentors, right? 2, family. You don't get your family support right. Imagine as a researcher, you will get PhD in 15 years, or the second one, and you won't earn much then, you're dependent on, BIRAC funding or whatever, that's not coming. So you have a lot of challenges. You have to depend on your father or your father-in-law or your girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever it is. Same with entrepreneurs. The journey is quite long. And if you don't have a family support system to allow you to fail, you're going to face a lot more hurdles. In the past in India, these were real challenges. Anyone starting a business, they'll say, are you mad? In fact, they would throw the kids out of their home saying, he wants to be an entrepreneur, what's wrong with him? Right? Same with research, I'm going to do some research, I'm going to go to some college, they'll be like, go get into a job, why are you doing PhD? These were natural. Things are changing now. It's changed a lot for entrepreneurs because I met a maid in Mumbai recently in a hotel, and I asked her what about her family, and she says he has a son, and I said, what does he do? वो startup में काम करता है. She was very proud. But I still don't hear that when people say my son is doing research. I'm sorry, entrepreneurs have got a little edge these days. पता नहीं क्या कर रहा है, रोज जा रहा है, 5 साल से कोई डिग्री नहीं, कुछ नहीं, पैसा भी नहीं ला रहे, शादी भी नहीं कर रहे. Right? So this is a fact. So please understand that whether it's science, research or entrepreneurship, you need good mentors. Mentors who don't have an angle on you. A lot of people will come up as mentors. The minute you start doing really well and you have an IP better than them, they need to be detached from your success. So make sure you identify good people. It could even be your roadside uncle who walks in the morning with you along with your dog. So mentors come in all shapes and sizes, because when you are doing research or entrepreneurship, you need multiple mentors. 1 for people management. 1 to deal with your immediate supervisor's frustrations and tantrums. You can't tell him, but you have to write he's your mentor. But he's the pain point. You should be able to talk to somebody else. Am I right or wrong? Right? Then you need for emotional stability. It could be your friend from school, somebody who can break your spin of thought process. How many of you have had these thoughts running like a whirlwind in your mind? Same thought, same solution, some problems in your experiment or whatever. You're just processing it time and again, overthinking. You'll have, right? Like you wake up and you're thinking about it. It's not, the loop is not. So you need a friend who will take you out, watch a movie, take a break. So they are also your mentors. So recognize these pillars of support. Whether you're doing good science or entrepreneurs, you will need them like hell. And if you don't have that support, you have to recalibrate how you're going to maneuver it, because it's not an easy thing without family support, without support of mentors. In my experience, I've constantly cultivated this habit. I've constantly built good relationship with friends, with people, wherever I meet them. And how do you do that? The best way to do that is to not pretend who you are. It's a technology day, I'm not talking science, I'm talking about your mind, because your mind is the best asset that you have, and don't pretend who you are. Don't pretend who you're not. You have to be who you are and bring those walls down between people. I'm telling you, it's worked for me. If I go and tell I'm a silly guy, the other guy doesn't mind, he'll say he's silly too. And then you kind of bond with each other. Many times we have a pretense. I'm a dean's lister, I'm the gold medalist. All that means nothing in entrepreneurship and science, because the science doesn't know you're a gold medalist. You don't get the idea, you're as good as a failure. Yes? Then I thought, I'm done with who am I. Then the question is, what am I? Because I started a company saying, some of them start saying that I want to be my boss, own boss. I want to make a lot of money. I don't want to listen to anyone telling me what I want to do. How many of you think like that? How many of you want to be entrepreneurs because you want to do your own thing? Nobody?
Actually, science also you get to do that.
Right. Even science sometimes. You say, I want to do my own thing. Right? But believe me, whether you take up science or entrepreneurship, the minute you take that project, you are working for everybody else. You have to clean your lab. Grant to mil gaya. You don't have money for janitor. Right? Like if you are an entrepreneur, you will have a toilet. Maid has not come, employees are going to come, you will wash the toilet. You have to. So get into research, as in serious research, or into entrepreneurship with a long-term view in mind and without any ego of what is it that you want to. Many scientists I have met, I have interviewed, I don't look at their resume. I look at their attitude towards science. Why do they want to do it? If I were you as a student and if I could have heard this advice, which over time I realized, we tend to build our resume, publications, postdoc, one more postdoc, another postdoc, right? After PhD thesis. Publications, I attended this lecture, I went to Netherlands, I went to Europe. Nobody cares. Instead of your resume, please focus on building your reputation. If you are able to build a reputation instead of your resume, you will never be out of a job. Like if you are in a team, 4 people. How many of you work in groups of more than one? Right. How many of you feel one of the group member is a free rider? कुछ करता नहीं है, लेट आता है, चलो उसको समोसा लाने के लिए बोलो. I'm telling you, I've been through this, I've been in groups too. You'll always find somebody you feel is not lifting your weight. Correct? Their weight. Have you not experienced this? Similarly, in entrepreneurship, when you start a company, you will say, we are 4 of us, let's all 4 get together, we'll split the equity equally, but then everyone is not the same. One guy is really digging the ground, the other guy is sitting and having a smoke. So, whenever you build a team, try to build equally committed, complementary strengths. It should add to you. And when you split your patent, sabka naam hota hai. But there is some order in research, right? Like primary investigator, then there is second and third, right? Usually wo professor ka naam bhi aa jata hai. I don't know if he did anything or not. First name it will be like. Anyway, I have nothing against it. What I'm trying to say is the contribution towards the patent is not equal. So if you all are negotiating some commercial contract thereafter, please have that discussion when you are filing your patents. Based on contribution, this is how we are going to play out. You all may have heard how what is that? Yeah, the CRISPR-Cas team, there were 2 people, one of them monetized it, the other couldn't. Have you all heard this story? But they were together. So, like you split a company and its equity and its proceeds and its value based on contribution, your research also will have to do. Please keep that in mind. Because when you lose your hard-earned money because of somebody's smartness of legal language, etc., it will hurt. And you may become vengeful. So pay attention to the patents that you write. pay attention to how you split the patents or its future commercial value. And as a researcher, nobody cares about your publications, frankly speaking. Maybe Nature, this, that. But everybody in the industry will look at if you made a patent, if you did something new and different. It adds to your persona. So if you all are researchers, please switch on your innovative thoughts and think, how do you create something new for the world? And that's why you're doing research. Otherwise, why are you doing research? You write textbooks. Then comes where I am, because suddenly paisa khatam as an entrepreneur. And same way, your course is almost coming to an end, you have not bagged a job, you haven't got into your next postdoc or internship, now you're in that in-between zone where you feel you're not ready to go into your job, you're not ready to pursue research, and you're going to be in a stress. And this stress all entrepreneurs go through. Most of the entrepreneurs have a failure point. And it's at that point which will define you, whether you're going to stay the course or you're going to run. Many of them will step down and say, no, I will become professor in some godforsaken place. We tend to step back. That is the moment you have to wake up. That's the moment your family and your mentors will come into play. Because that's when you need that jump to jump out of that hole and get started to going. Right? They'll come to say, finally you realize you're a frog. And when does this happen? You got that eureka moment, you solved something, and now you think now you have a technology or you have a business which is going to make money, and then again the dreams will start coming, castles in the air. Can you imagine that? Like dreamers. We all are. And there's no difference between scientists and researchers. And once this happens, ego kicks in. Please be careful of that. If the first success makes you highly egoistic, you're never going to see the next one. It's very important to, one, appreciate what got you there. As an entrepreneur, if you get into that, you're finished tomorrow. No customer will work with you, no employee will be with you. Similarly, no collaborator of your research will join you. Because he'll say, okay, he got it, so what? I'm not going to work with him next time. And you'll realize then how those people in your support staff, your lab assistants, whoever they were, really mattered in you becoming who you are. This one is my favorite slide. Leverage everything. So the first thing that I learned when my father passed away when I was like 19, 20 was ask for help. You are from NCL. You have the best professor. I met with many of your fellow senior colleagues or supervisors, etc. Amazing talent. I was making notes on the name and character and my own drawing also to recognize them later. Because you have to learn how to leverage this network. If you are not leveraging the network of your professors, teachers, co-workers, industry people you interact with, you get a call, you get a card. I've seen many times. We speak, people take cards, no one writes back after that. You took the card to network with somebody in the industry. Please reach out. Because believe me, there's one trick in sociology. Everyone likes to help. Everyone wants to give. So use that to your advantage. By asking for help, you lose nothing, you only become richer. The other person is giving you, right? So just put that in mind. Just think it's economics. If he gives, you gain. Or she gives. So make sure you leverage anything and everybody. It can be any lab, any partnership company, any employee in another company. But make sure you're ethically grounded. Whether it's research or entrepreneurship, in India we have this little grey area in ethics. We have a grey area in confidentiality. We tend to happily share everything, like we'll share what our neighbor is doing also. Really? And you meet somebody on the street, where do you work? How much do you get? Right? Don't you hear that? Are you married? How many kids? Why no kids? We don't have sense of privacy in this country. Like, they look at me and say, why you lost your hair? I lost my hair. Why you lost? How? It doesn't tell me I lost my hair. I lost my hair now. What do I do? Entrepreneurship, pain, like you were saying pain, I lost my hair. So, what I'm trying to say is, as researchers, I always reach out to my team and I say, look, you're running a company. You, even having a casual conversation with your friends in other institutes, other places, they will be having a conversation. Hey, how do you do this? It sounds like a casual conversation. But if they are in the market to get your information, they're going to get it. So please be aligned to the organization or your science and know what is confidential. When you say confidential in the Western world, they won't even speak it in their homes. But we'll go home, we'll tell, you know what, Mama, this happened, that happened, he said this. Mama will talk to neighbor, neighbor will talk to brother. Finish, over, market will know everything. Come on guys, you all are researchers, IP is your strength, protect it. In entrepreneurship, not all entrepreneurs are making money. Not all of them are having a hunky-dory. They want to succeed that one day. You may have heard sometimes, fake it till you make it. That's not a really good thing to follow, but many of them have that just short of the goal, etc. Right? If you as an employee going to tell the neighboring guy, oh, my company mostly gone. You've seen this. What if the funding comes next day? But then there are 5 guys who may have joined today who will not join your company, because if they join, your job would have been more secure. Right? So company information needs to be held tight, like it is your family. Right? But we come from a society where family information is public. So please become conscious, because this is the biggest shift we need to make in India as a research community, to know what it means to be maintaining confidentiality. IP comes thereafter. And there's one rule, I told you, don't give up. Whatever happens, don't give up. Can you see that picture, what that frog is doing? It's not going to give up. That crane has to give up. And trust me, whether it's your investors or it's your buy-rack funding or big grant or whatever it is, don't give up. इस बार नहीं है, next time फिर करो. We have a lot of ego. मुझे नहीं करना है. क्या आप गलत question पूछते हैं? What? They're giving you free money to do research. If somebody got a free money, I'll go every day and ask, please give me. I mean, what's the ego in this? No, you please help me understand. They'll give you 50 lakhs. Whole year I will do salam if I have to. Yes. So, one, build your reputation, maintain confidentiality, leverage everything, don't give up. We will see how you will not succeed in life. There is no way you will not succeed. I mean, it's a guaranteed success. Whoever said, maybe little big, little small, but you will succeed. And then learn to do this. I lost my hair, but not my teeth. I will smile. I'll tell you why. Why you need to say cheese, can you guess? Anybody? Come on, I'm saying so many cool jokes and nobody's answering. Why should you learn to say cheese? It again comes back to building your reputation, and if you are in the business of research or entrepreneurship, you need to raise funds. I'm sure your director is smiling all the time because he has to bring big bags to manage this big institute. I'm not joking. You cannot express your negative feelings towards a funding agency or an investor, no matter what. Like I've had one investor who said something, I don't remember now, but he's still my great friend, and he banged the phone on a board meeting. There were other investors and board members. And he hung up. I could have lost it because he was wrong. But I said, okay, he hung up, so can we continue the meeting? And we continued the meeting. My voice was almost beginning to shiver because I was angry. But I didn't let it out. One day later, that guy called back and apologized. It takes this much moment to express that you're unhappy to somebody, but you may lose that relationship forever. Right? Similarly in research, whether it is dropping a project because it didn't work or because some funding didn't come, cannot bruise your ego. You are in the business for what? Ask yourself, why are you doing research? For a job, and finish your PhD and go take a job. If you are in this research community to do research, then be committed to it. You have no choice to give up, unless your uncle told you to do PhD and you're doing. I mean, I understand if you're writing UPSC exams. Research is a hard climb, right? Then building the team. Okay, what's going to happen is you will finish your research program, you will get into the industry, or you will pursue entrepreneurship, or you will do your own thing. Maybe go into farming also. You can't do everything, right? You have to build a team. How do you think somebody will follow you? People will follow you for your leadership. Right? Now, as a researcher, are you going to lead your research or are you going to follow? Make that clear. Then, accordingly, build your team. Like I told, I am a textile engineer, but I lead a team of several scientists, and many places I go, they call me Dr. Subramani, which I have to politely tell I am not a doctor. Because it's not about how many PhDs you have or how much research you have done. It's about, can you add value to that day's research or that day's business or that investor or stakeholder or employee you have on your team. If you can add value, you will get respect. As long as you are adding value, you will be a team member. So it's as simple as that. Like someone who, in my last company, we were a GMP organization, and we used to have this problem of cleanliness, hygiene, people not keeping it clean, because that's part of GMP, right? They'll go to the toilet, throw tissue paper everywhere. And then there used to be this old gardener who was there before we bought that land. And I would always see the garden. I would go and sit because we planted all the trees. And I was observing what he did. He would pick the leaves before it fell. It means like if you have a mango tree and some are dry, you would go and pluck it. If there's a coconut tree, you would pluck out the one before it falls. Guys, that is GMP. To take proactive steps so that there is no issues related to quality or accidents or damages. That is GMP. And if you go back to our own Indian way of living, temples or any religious place we go to, we are all doing GMP. We leave the shoes out, the priest is inside, you can't go there, you have to wear a different clothing, wash your hands, wash your legs, what's that? That's GMP. So doing good quality work, research and maintaining quality protocols is part of our system. How many of you celebrate festivals at home? Doesn't your mom put up protocols, have bath, don't come down otherwise? How many of parents say don't eat without brushing your teeth? That's SOP. So when you run your labs, your experiments, just follow that. Like keep your table clean. Someone has to tell you that. Like you're doing research and next guy is going to use after that. So if you can follow these simple things of telling you are high quality, what you do will be high quality. So when I ask questions to my quality guy, what is quality? He will say quality is continuous improvement of product quality something. I'm like, dude, you are high quality. If you are high quality, everything you do will be, it comes from the heart actually. So your good quality research also comes from your heart. It doesn't come from somebody's 30-page document none of you will ever read in any company. We were discussing about GMP in some place. Nobody will read the SOP. Only the QA guy who wrote the document may have read it. Finding partners. Now this is the most important thing. Okay, like the picture says, apart from having no ego and taking whatever they dish out to you with these, you should be able to attract your partners. So these could be your collaborators, this could be again your employees, team members, etc. And so learn some skills. This is beyond cheese, spare time. Many of us are so career oriented that you will go to the lab, you will do your job and you will wear your cap and go apartment, department, apartment, department. That's not life, guys. Researcher's life is beyond that. Most of your research will happen in interactions. Go out, spend time, go play. Because this social skills if you lose out, and I have seen that with many researchers. But entrepreneurs, they are only socializing. Half the time they are in a wine shop. And they'll have the customer also. But you don't have to do that. What I'm trying to say is that as scientists, don't get so bogged down that you forget your social skills. Because a happy social skill will lead to good outcome in your research. Keep the music playing. I say this because now your petrol tank is getting empty, funding is getting over, your research is nowhere else. So, end of the day, while you are doing your research, many people say, I did all this, the funding never came, and I don't have money for the next project. Please tell me, why can't you start thinking about your following project 1 year before, knowing very well that the government grants come 1 year later? Does it stop you? So as an entrepreneur, you need to have a product you're building which is close to commercialization. Then you'll be building another product which will roll out after 6 to 8 months. Then you'll say this too will go to revenues. Then I have my next product launch after 1.5 years because these will give me revenues. You think they'll just take one product, build it all the way, then they'll fall straight down into science. You should be able to explain to a 4-year-old and make her understand. I know many researchers, I'll ask them, what do you do? And they'll go on for 10 minutes. You should be able to say it in 2 minutes, right? This is what I do, this is the impact, these are the companies who will be excited about this. So can you prepare like you prepare for your Viva and go to an investor? Let's see how you will not get funding. 2, put yourself in their shoes. Think like them. If I have to put money in you, what are the questions I am going to ask? So prepare your questions, prepare additional slides, not just technical slides. If you are able to do that and compare your product with competition, with potential exit options, who will acquire my company or technology, who's interested in, then he'll know he has understood you better. Number 3, I told you about reputation. Every day you're in this school, build your reputation. They will call your prof, they will call Mr. Ashish. There's this guy I'm thinking about, I may put in some money. What do you think of him? He should first of all know you. Right? How many of you have made an effort to know your director? I'm sure not more than 5%. I was shameless. Whether it was in school or college, I would make sure I will go in front of them, ask them 100 things, make some nuisance at least so that they at least know you. Yeah, man, because they will call him. NCL, I know him, I'm going to call him, or the other prof. They will do it. So that's why the reputation counts. So if you do that, the first check is based on you as an entrepreneur, not your science. And when you show up for the meeting, don't go like a typical researcher. Please dress for the occasion. You can wear t-shirt and jeans. Don't have bad nails. Don't go unshaven. Go properly. Make an impression because he doesn't know you. We forget all of that and then says, paisa nahi diya. I'm telling you, these are facts. And then we go to just anyone, everyone. Oh, investor, mail. Everyone will say, no, then I'm dejected, I will need a drink. That's not going to work. Did I answer your question? Prepare.
Yeah, I think that's the last one.
Can't hear.
Initially, you were saying about these researchers or students or entrepreneurs, they will be thinking which way to go, either biotechnology or engineering, or like going to a job or going to research again. What would you suggest to be good for their choosing the way?
I think first you should just go. I'm telling you, it does not matter. See, the way I advise my kids, for example, I'll say, what do you want to pursue? First answer is, I don't know. But that's a fact, right? How will you know? Even 50-year-old people don't know what they're doing on earth. I'm telling you, they'll have kids, grandkids, and they'll say, pata nahi kya kar raha hu. It's a fact. So at a young age, feeling like that is quite normal, okay? Decision on what undergrad or postgrad you do in a country like India is about opportunities, right? Whether you make it in that 1% of IIT or you make it in NEET and do medicine, these are all certain hurdles. At that stage of your life, you may not be good enough, but you may become greater the next year. So don't measure yourself by that first hurdle that the society has created to join IIT, to join IISc, to join AIMS, etc. Because that cannot be the step which defines you. In fact, most of these super achievers don't become entrepreneurs. They go take a job because they've been taught not to lose. I'm telling you. Think about it historically. The class toppers, all of them will be in a job. Middle to last bench will be entrepreneur. Come 50th year anniversary of the school, the backbencher will be in front. More money, more freedom. The fellow in front will be like, Acha, kya ho gaya idhar? I'm telling you. So life is a very long race. So if you got an opportunity in science and you could not make it into engineering, don't be disappointed. Make that BSc count. Build your reputation, be the best in that class, and then see what you can do next. So in my opinion, decisions are made by families based on financial requirements, opportunities in the market, right? Whether you get a medical seat in J&K. Maybe your parents don't want to send you there because of whatever political issues there. Are you going to be in depression? So please be realistic that many factors cause you to decide some way, but make the best of that. I'm telling you, I'm a textile engineer. I do cell culture, I do growth media, I do microbial, I do anything and everything. Because I say I learned how to learn myself. I went to a government college where there were no teachers. My college name is so long that we used to rag people with it. It is a Kannada name and we would call the people from Delhi and say, Kannada mein bolo. Believe me, it's GSKSJTI. So there were no teachers. So that I say that was the opportunity because I learnt my subjects. I didn't need anyone to teach me. So you have to look at making the best of whatever course you get. And you will make it. Then later on in 2004, I went to ISB. Because I felt my engineering was not good enough. I need more global experience. And I was married by then. I went to another course. I did a 1-year course. So what stops you from doing a PhD 10 years later? So when I was trying to do MTech, one of my mentors said, I even registered for it. He said, why are you doing it? I said, because I can do it. He said, are you doing this for a job? I said, no, I'm running a business. They said, why do you want to do it? I quit. Because it was useless. So sometimes some courses we do because we feel good. So differentiate that. Do I really want it or do I need it for my career? If you don't need that degree, why the hell you want to do it? You heard, right? Microsoft, the guy that dropped out, the other guy dropped out. But they're really good, then they dropped out. Nowadays, I met my friend's son. He's like, I want to be a dropout. I'm like, what do you mean? Bill Gates is dropout. My friend's son. I'm like, dude, he dropped out from Harvard or from MIT. I'm telling you. So please think about it. What will really make you who you are? This whole life is about self-realization, knowing yourself. That's why I said, don't pretend. If you think you should be a waiter in a restaurant and that will make you happy, go do that. I'm not joking. There is respect in every job, but you should do what you want to do. And don't try to be somebody else. And that's always worked for me. It's worked for my kids. It's worked for my mother and across generations. We are actually unhappy when we do something we don't want to do.
Questions? I guess you can't learn it better than what the way he's telling you. So students,
So,
talk about product that your current companies promote.
so
No question.
my last company I made enzymes which were a little ahead of its time. I realized I should change. Then we made animal-free proteins for biopharma. So we made medicine safer. Another way to say, I can say I'm a recombinant proteins company, or I can tell my team, we are replacing animal products in manufacturing medicines. So we are making medicine safer. It resonates better. That's what I did in my last company. In this company, I'm choosing the area between biopharma and food. There are a lot of small molecules, chemicals, which can be produced using biotech tools. So we make colors, flavors, dyes, lipids, large-scale manufacturing. So we're building a plant in Thailand. We have a setup in India and a lab in the US. And we did all this in less than 18 months with less than $2 million of fundraise. How do you do that? I told you. Leverage everyone. Yes, you need to be able to build that. So the products we make are small molecules, mostly from fermentation derived products. And my advisory board. Please make sure, like you have mentors, if you're an entrepreneur, build an advisory board. Right? And they will give their name to put on your company only if they know you and they see you are going to uphold them and their credibility. Right? So try to build an advisory board, mentor board even for your PhD work. You may be doing under somebody, but it doesn't stop you from having mentors to guide you offhand. Right? So. Thank you. I'll come down.
Okay, thank you all for coming for this celebration. And let me thank the whole event management team for putting this program together. There are many whom you can see around and whom you can't see, but has worked to make it a successful event. Thank you, everyone.